In a single patient visit, you might manage type 2 diabetes, hypothyroidism, and early-stage osteoporosis all at once. By the time that patient leaves, your front desk is left managing a complex clinical picture and a towering stack of prior authorization paperwork. You document the visit thoroughly, but when that documentation translates into medical billing, a single digit off on an ICD-10 code paired with a procedure triggers an automatic denial from the payer. The friction usually happens around modifier rules. Modifiers like -25 for separate evaluations and -59 for distinct procedures are heavily scrutinized. When those rules clash with the multiple diagnosis codes required in endocrinology, the claims get flagged. Across the industry, initial claim denial rates hit 11.8% in 2024. As payers tighten their documentation standards every year, this strict environment specifically targets the complex coding required in your specialty. You can deliver perfect clinical care and write perfect clinical notes and still see your claims rejected. The standard medical billing workflow simply breaks down when applied to the complexity of endocrinology. That breakdown is most obvious with specialty devices. Continuous glucose monitors and insulin pumps sit in a category of services that almost always require upfront payer approval. Securing that approval takes an average of 13 hours per week per physician. That is significant time pulled away from the clinic to manage phone calls and peer-to-peer reviews. When those claims or approvals are inevitably rejected, the cost to fix them is steep. It now costs an average of $57.23 in administrative labor just to process a single back-end denial. This chart shows exactly what that administrative friction costs in average practice. Losing between 5 and 15% of collectible revenue to preventable denials translates to a $100,000 to $300,000 annual loss for a clinic billing $2 million a year. Clinical staff end up absorbing these financial losses by fighting administrative battles instead of focusing on billable patient care. It is a direct path to physician burnout. When revenue leaks, the default reaction for most practice owners is to look down the hall and assume they need to hire and train a better in-house biller to fix the process. The financial input required for that hire is substantial. A base salary of $50,000 quickly balloons to anywhere from $65,000 to $105,000 per full-time employee once you factor in payroll taxes, benefits, and paid time off. Then you enter the staffing spiral. You spend months training a generalist biller on endocrinology-specific codes and complex payer rules, only to lose them to a better offer across town. The penalty for that turnover is severe. Replacing a single frontline support staff member costs between $25,000 and $30,000 before the new hire is even up to speed. Maintaining physical oversight of an employee inside your office forces you to absorb high employment costs and constant turnover risk. You pay a premium, but you still do not solve the underlying complexity of endocrinology billing. A different approach is to outsource the workflow entirely to a credentialed remote team holding AAPC and AIMA certifications. Instead of sending files away, this team operates directly within your existing EMR. This model restructures the cost from a bloated salary to a flat rate of $399 per week per seat. Annually, that works out to roughly $20,750. This comparison matrix makes the operational difference clear. A remote seats cost is a fraction of a fully loaded in-house hire. As the table expands, the remote model permanently zeroes out turnover risk, guaranteeing certified endocrinology specialists work your queue daily. Transitioning from a local generalist to an EMR native specialist reduces your staffing costs by over 60%. Before a claim leaves your EMR, the system checks for modifier mismatches, flags diagnosis pairings likely to deny, and identifies prior authorization gaps. Because the errors are caught upstream, this proactive discipline drops the overall billing error rate to below 1%. By catching the mistake early, the practice entirely avoids paying that $57 penalty required to work a back-end denial. You cannot solve a complex billing problem by working harder on the back end. Integrating automated front-end workflow discipline is the only reliable way to stop revenue leakage. The entry into this system is built to minimize risk. The process starts with a 14-day pilot period, operating completely month-to-month with no long-term contracts. From day one, the team operates under an enterprise-grade security framework. This includes strict HIPAA compliance, SOC 2 certification, and encrypted VPN connections into your software. Within the first week, secure EMR access is established, and the remote team completes training on your practice's specific protocols and payer mix. This timeline illustrates the speed of the impact. After the 14-day go-live milestone, most practices see a measurable financial return on their investment by day 60. The transition period is exceptionally brief. It is structurally designed to remove the fear of disruption and prove its financial value to your practice immediately. If you already employ a tenured, highly specialized in-house billing team with zero turnover, you should maintain your current setup. However, if you run a mid-sized practice billing around $2 million annually and you are bleeding $100,000 or more to preventable errors, this model is built for you. Beyond the recovered revenue, there is a profound relief that comes when your front office staff can step away from the phone and specialists handle your continuous glucose monitor prior authorizations. The immediate next step is a 30-minute strategy call. You can talk through your specific payer mix and EMR setup with a real person to map out exactly what a 14-day rollout looks like. Claim denials in endocrinology are not a failure of your clinical skill. They are a symptom of a mismatched billing workflow.